get some WD-40 on this thing. All right, Amazon delivery. What we have here is a Spartan Locker. It just came in the mail, and from what I can tell, this is the cheapest way to turn your truck from one-wheel drive to two-wheel drive without welding the diff or putting in a spool. And also, I have a spool I can put in there. It's just, you know, I don't want to die by flying off the road. I don't want to break my axles either. So I went with getting the Spartan Locker from Amazon. And that's what's in the box. This stuff, but something is missing here, and it puzzled me for days. I kept looking through the pictures. I was like, where are the side gears? The USA Standard website says that on the 4 to 8 inch and 9 inch rear ends, we use the stock side gears. And when I started looking at this, and if you've ever seen spider gears and side gears, they look nothing like this that would match up to that. So I got on YouTube. I looked at a lot of YouTube videos. I could not find anything that was, yeah, they used the stock side gears in a 4 to 9 inch. So I did the unthinkable and actually had to download the manual from USA Standard Gear. All right, 4 to 8 inch and 9 inch, page 17. Yeah, and in here we have a diagram that shows a picture of a stock side gear. See how deep the teeth are, matching up to whatever they call this thing. Don't look like they're gonna get much traction at all turning on those side gears. If you're watching this video, you probably ran into the same problem I had, where you can't find anyone on YouTube using a Spartan Locker, well, installing one in a 4 to 9 inch using the stock side gear. So hopefully we're gonna learn something together. Some items we're gonna need besides our Spartan Locker and our manual. We're gonna need a gasket if you just don't want an RTB or pumpkin to the back of your 4 to 9 inch there. I also got a second gasket for when I tear this piece of crap up and gotta put my spider gears back in. We're gonna need a dial indicator to check the lash on our rear end. We're also gonna need some calipers. This stuff here I got off of Amazon. I'll post a link to that. This is also, well, matter of fact, this whole thing is off of Amazon, except for my instruction manual. I downloaded this off of a website called Manual Libs. I couldn't really find it on USA Standard Gear website, so I'll post links to all that. All right, so I've taken my wheels and my brake drums off. The next thing I'm gonna do is get in this little hole right here that gives me access to 4 of these 3 1/4 inch nuts. Once I get those disconnected, I should just be able to pull my axles out. And what that's gonna do is gonna free out up the center section when I remove the drive shaft. Okay. Hopefully I can pull this thing out without boogering up my brakes here. I'm sick of fighting with my brakes. So. We did it. I figured I'd go ahead and inspect my axles here. These are 28 spline axles. Again, when you order the Spartan Locker kit, it doesn't matter because we use the factory side gears going on the side of this. I just want to look at these grooves right here and see if I got any twisting or excessive wear, and they seem to look okay. If you're on a spool in these, you're going to get some marring, and your axles aren't going to last very long. So that's another important reason to put a locker and not be riding around the street with a spool on. Pull my drive shaft out using a 1/2 inch wrench to get these nuts off these little U-bolts here. My little cups with needle bearings did come out. So if that happens to you, make sure these needle bearings are where they're supposed to be before you put them back in. And if they're not, make sure you get some grease in there and put them where they need to be. That way your universal joint don't get boogered up. All right, with the axles out and the drive shaft off, this is the center section here, what I've been calling a pumpkin. Some people say that, or maybe they don't. I'm just making stuff up. But looks like the only thing left holding this thing on is a bunch of 9/16 nuts here. All right, my gear oil's coming out. I took off all those 9/16 nuts except for that top one here. I did have to take a little chisel to try to break this seal. And yeah, draining the gear oil. Next I'm gonna try to wrestle this thing onto some sort of jack or platform or something. I know it's very heavy and nothing that I need to let fall on me. Come on. We're gonna clear you up. So I was able to wrestle this thing out with this little jack I made with the I-beam welded to it so I could pick up the motorcycle. Yeah, that was difficult. I recommend like a transmission jack or some sort of, you know, at least a full-size car jack. I don't know why I only have these little things. That's what it looks like. I just threw it up on some blocks here so I can get to it. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start following the instructions. It says using a punch, mark one side of the bearing cap so you can remember which side it belongs to. So I'm gonna assume that these are bearing caps. And yeah, I just put a mark and put a mark with my punch here, and that should do it. And there you go. All right, the next thing it's wanting us to do is to check our backlash with the dial indicator. I assume that means how much the ring gear is free to play from the pinion here. About 5 or 6 thousandths. That does not sound like a lot. I'm gonna check like the Ford manual, see how much backlash these things need. All right, I saw a man on YouTube that seemed like he knew what he was doing. He said the spec for the 4 9-inch rear end is 8 to 15 thousandths backlash. Yeah, when I get my new stuff in, I'll just set it to that. All right, looks like the next thing we're doing is taking out the bearing caps and bearing races. It looks like I need a 3/4 inch and a little 1/2 inch to get these little, I don't know, holder tabs. I don't know what those are. Oh, there we go. All right, now it says remove roll pins to separate the carrier, then remove cross pin shaft. Looks like I gotta remove the ring gear to even get to the cross pins. I've done this before. This is a pain. Once I get all these bolts out, I guess I'm gonna be hammering on it. All right, I got all the bolts out. Looks like I got this thing on the run. It's coming off. Just trying to gently peck it off with a ball peen hammer here. Yeah, looks like this thing's my ring gear is gonna come off, and I don't have to put fire on it or anything. All right, we got the ring gear off there. I need to get this separated. It looks like it just hooks together right there. I guess I gotta get a chisel or something to get it on the run and get this separated from that, because what I'm getting at is this roll pin right here holding in this cross pin. And I just had to sharpen this chisel and go around and around on this till it started loosening up on me. So in just a second I should have it apart. Oh, come back to me. There you have it. You know what's interesting here is that this rear end, and I've taken these 4 9-inches apart before, I only got 2 spider gears here. That is strange to me. Usually you have another set right here. I don't see any exploded gears or where they may have gone. But yeah, there's not a cross pin here. There's a hole for a cross pin. But yeah, just 2 spider gears in here, and I'm thinking that's what my instructions mean. So we have installation steps for 4 pinion, 4 9-inch rear axles. 4 pinion, I don't know what that means. That might mean the 4 spider gears. And then installation steps for 2 pinion, 4 to 8 or 9-inch rear axles. That might be what they mean by this, is little pinion gears that turn the side gears. So looks like I got a 2 pinion. All right, what I want to do right now is just make sure my side gears aren't too worn out to use. My book's telling me to make sure we don't exceed 1.195. I'm sorry, we're not under 1.195 inches. Looks like I'm 1.21 inches, so that's perfect. I'm gonna run these side gears. All right, next up I'm gonna take this punch here, knock out that roll pin. Get the roll pin out, I can take out this retainer pin that holds these 2 spider gears. And with that, I can take out the side gear and get the side gear measured up to make sure this will also work. There it is. Oh, it just knocks right out. All right, there's this retainer pin. So I need this side gear. It should just come out. Yep. This other side gear, I got to measure this to make sure it's not too worn out. These washers right here, the USA standard gear people told me not to use. If I can get, there we go. So you got to take the washers off of the side gears and I guess throw them away. All right, this side gear also measures the 1.2, so both side gears are going to work. All right, my last step in the removal and tear down of the carrier is to clean the carrier case. That's as clean as I'm going to get them going back to the instructions. So I'm assuming the 2 pinion forward 9/8 rear end means there was only 2 spider gears. So I'm going to go with these installation steps. So the next thing I want to do is place springs into the alignment pins like so. My kit came with, looks like 3 roll pins, 4 springs, 4 of these little hollow pins, and looks like that's what he's doing in the picture. So that is what I'm going to do. Alright, now it says carefully install alignment pins and springs in the holes in the back of the drivers. Make sure the springs do not fall out or become wedged sideways in the hole during installation. Take it, these are my drivers. Yeah, they weren't kidding. Oh, that's fine. I'll push down on them, make sure they don't go sideways or nothing. Now it says install the side gears into the carrier case without the thrust washer. I'm assuming the thrust washers were these little washers behind my side gears. We're just going to put it directly in with no washers. Alright, now it's telling me to place the first driver onto the side gear. And that's what I'm going to do, and it sat right down on there. Alright, I'm doing something else. Even though my carrier only had 2 pinions with the spider gears, my carrier can accommodate extra spider gears because we got the 1 cross rod. It'll be held in by a roll pin here, but if there was another one for the spider gears, we got 2 roll pins that can be here. Okay, so that means with this center section, I'm going to use the pins that have the holes for the roll pins and not these extra. I guess if you have a carrier that's only got a double pinion spider gears, they're not going to have these holes for the roll pin, but mine does, so this is what I'm going to use. All right, so now we got to install the center block. It looks like what I want to do here is first install the large cross pin, and that'll be tacked in with the roll pin right here, and then I'm going to use these pins here to go through the side and tack those down with those roll pins. And one other thing, I removed the little springs and cups so they're not jumping around and getting lost while I'm hammering on this, and I'll put them back in just a moment. Alright, here comes the large pin. Alright, so now we're going to install the small cross pins, lining them up with these roll pin holes. Oh, I can do it. Thought I'd have to hammer them in. There we go, no hammering required right there. Alright, now it's telling me to place this second driver on top of this cross. That's going to be kind of tricky because these little springs and cups, they just fall right out. So I'm going to try to turn it sideways or something so I don't lose all these. Look at that. Pretty good, I think I got it. Alright, next step, it says to put the next side gear on top. Now we're just going to put the 2 halves together and put the ring gear back on. So what I'm going to do now is try to install the 3 roll pins that came into the kit, and I just use my punches here to line the pins up. Problem I'm seeing right now is, this doesn't want to close up. I don't know if it's because of the spring pressure or what, but it does not want to get seated down there. I don't know what's up with that. I'm hoping when I put the ring gear on, it's gonna suck it to there. All right, so I hammered the ring gear back on in the hopes that I could use these big 3/4 inch bolts to pull the carrier together with, and that is actually working. It's working good. So I'm gonna keep on with this until my carrier is completely closed, and we'll worry about reinstalling this. All right, we'll get it back together. Yeah, as long as you kept your races with the matching bearings, we should be fine here. So I'm gonna put on the races, put on my little screw things here on both sides, and I'm gonna set the lash by tightening or loosening these. And I set it to what I felt like 8 to 15 thousandths of an inch of play was, and got my dial indicator set up, and yeah, it's going about 8 to 9 thou, so I'm going to keep it like that and put it in the truck. Alright, I'm just going to help out my paper gasket with a little thin layer of RTB. All right, it's in the truck, so the test is that we rotate one tire forward against the drivetrain while another person, my helper over there, rotates it backwards, and we should hear a popping, clicking sound as the rear end disengages. So I'm gonna go forward, but you ready?
Yep.
I'm gonna go forward. Oh, there it is. It's working good. All right, you rotate yours forward real hard. Ah, it's working. Awesome, the thing works. Now all we gotta do is get it on the road and try to drive it. I'd heard the thicker the goop you put in there, the less you're gonna hear the rear end clicking around. So this is the thickest stuff Walmart had, 85 140. So I'm gonna put it in the differential. All right, here we go. We're doing it live. It starts. Now when I turn, it should be like popping and clicking. I don't hear popping and clicking. Driving a little strange. I don't hear it clicking. If I stomp on it, I should leave 2 marks. Whoa! Oh yeah. We got 2 marks. Time out. Just did a brake check. Front brakes, back brakes, nothing. I need to tighten the brakes up. So far so good. When I mash on it, the rear end wants to outrun me. I definitely see two tire marks behind me. We're about to be off the gravel and onto the pavement, and hopefully this thing will act right. I think I got it figured out. So not under power, you're going around a turn, that wheel going faster or slower will unlock and you'll hear the clicking sound. But when you're going around a turn, even like at a stop sign, just turning right or left, you're giving it power, and then it just turns into a spool. So I'm hearing my tires scratch a lot. That's okay. At least I got 2-wheel drive now, and it was fairly cheap. See if we can do a burnout next.